Around 11 o'clock, an Upper Moreland officer went to one of our over 55 community centers to investigate a vandalism, and he discovered that the vandalism was actually a gunshot fired through a window of a parked car. So an investigation started, and a potential suspect was identified, and when an attempt was made to speak to that suspect, he became very argumentative and irrational and just acting oddly. The police officers backed away from continuing any further conversation and contacted that individual's family members. After some conversation with them, there was a belief that there might be some mental health issues, and there was a concern that this person that may be suffering from mental health issues has possession of a firearm. So we spent the day negotiating and trying to make inroads in getting this person to surrender. Eventually, we actually had to enter the apartment and take him into custody, and he's receiving mental health treatment.
How old is he?
69.
So he's a resident at the facility?
That's correct.
And whose car did he shoot? Does this have anything?
Another resident.
Another resident. Was it over a feud, or?
We still don't know. We spent most of our day trying to talk to the suspect, so we're still working out all the details. A lot of time and effort was spent trying to get him to come out peacefully. And
was the car robbed too, or just shot at?
No, just shot a bullet hole one time. And like I said, he was a suspect pretty early on.
And what kind of gun? It was a rifle.
No, it was a handgun, and the gun has been recovered. Is in our custody. Family members were fantastic. The residents in the facility were great. I mean, I've been in some places where when you inconvenience people for a long period of time, it becomes trying, and folks were fantastic with us.
And so this started at around 11 o'clock, wow, and it's now ending at 8:30?
That's correct. It was a long day, and SWAT operators from the entire region were activated. They were in 40 pounds of gear in the heat today, and they did a really terrific job.
And so when officers tried to bring him in for questioning or whatever on the initial call, what was his demeanor then? He shut them out of the apartment? Like, were the officers outside? Like, give us a visual of where he was.
Yeah, it was right in the doorway of the apartment. He became immediately argumentative, threatening, and demanded that they obtain a search warrant or an arrest warrant, and ordered them out of the apartment. And as I said, it was very early in the beginning of an investigation, so there wasn't any cause to arrest him or force entry into that apartment. So as the day went on, then other facts developed that created a situation where we could do it.
Did he ever threaten himself or the officers?
There was a lot of irrational ranting. His behavior was threatening in itself, so it certainly was a state of heightened awareness for the officers in the hallway.
And was the door closed to his apartment while this was going on?
The door was closed.
And the officers were outside?
That's correct.
And he was just talking to them through the door?
No, he never spoke to the officers. He never spoke to the negotiators. He was screaming and ranting and just obviously very aggravated, and he needed help.
Did he have a permit for this handgun?
Again, I don't know that information at this point. We recovered the gun, and we'll be doing an investigation for several more hours.
Did his family know he had a gun, or the facility know he had a gun?
The facility did not. Part of his family knew. Others did not. They all came together really well at the scene and recognized that he should not have a firearm.
Right, and go over again, sir, how this ended. At the very end, how did you actually get him, please?
Yeah, we like I said, we tried to negotiate with him for hours. When it was clear that he wasn't going to even speak to us, let alone surrender, a mental health commitment was obtained. He was advised of that. He refused to come out. We used a key to enter into the apartment, and although he was screaming at officers and very very irrational. He didn't do anything to threaten them. He attempted to move, and they were able to take him into custody and make sure he didn't get to the gun.
And where was the gun at that point?
I don't know exactly where it was.
Do we know what he was doing all those hours in his apartment?
No.
Okay. And where was he taken now, sir?
He was taken to a mental health facility in Norristown. Mental health delegates came to the scene and worked with us. They did a great job of coordinating, and they've taken over his treatment.
And how many people inside the facility when this was all happening?
I don't know the exact number. Probably well over 100.
And no evacuations at any point?
There were evacuations, and there was we cordoned off a major portion of the facility, not allowing people in or out, and blocked off a parking lot. A lot of employees and nursing staff had to leave their cars there to go home. So it was, a tremendous inconvenience for a lot of people, and they reacted well.
So partial evacuation, but you didn't feel like he was enough of a threat to evacuate the entire building?
Well, they weren't threatened by his actions. We were pretty certain that he had a handgun. We know the limitations of a handgun. We evacuated that floor. And evacuated anywhere that he would have a line of sight to endanger.
Is his name being released?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, 69 you said.
Correct.
How long does he live there, do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. Anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to say, sir?
Can't possibly imagine.
Do you know what kind of weapon it was?
It was a .38 caliber revolver.
And we don't know where he got it, or if he had it the whole time. Okay.
And he never brandished that weapon?
He did not brandish it in the presence of the police, no.
How did they know that he had a gun? Well, I mean, besides the fact that they knew he was a suspect in shooting this car.
In the initial conversation with officers, he told them that he had a gun.
Oh, wow. And how did he become a suspect in the shooting?
There were several interviews that had been conducted during the course of the investigation that led us to at least speak to him, to want to speak to him. So it was, it was quickly developing facts that at least led us to him to talk to.
And he lives by himself, obviously.
He lives with his wife.
Oh, his wife? Was she there the whole time?
She was. However, we recruited a family member to call her and to invite her out to lunch, and she came out and we were able to speak to her.
So we still don't know what this is all about, then?
No. I mean, in speaking to the family, it appears that in the past several months he's had declining mental health, and they're eager to get him out.
All right.
So just to confirm, at no point during the day did he actually threaten officers besides his ranting and
Correct.
Screaming?
He never pointed a gun at officers. He was definitely aggravated and yelling and screaming, but he never pointed a gun at any of the officers.
And is he going to be charged or just treated as a mental health?
No, this is going to be a mental health issue.
Okay, so no charges.
Correct.
Okay.
Did he have any feuds with neighbors or anything? Is that how the vehicle you guys suspected him?
There is some information that there's been some bad blood between him and some of the other residents.
And the resident who had his or her car shot out, is that a neighbor or?
It is a neighbor.
It is a neighbor.
When do you when do you think the shooting of the car took place in relation to when you discovered it?
Yeah, I don't know. I know that detectives are still speaking to some witnesses, but I don't know the exact time and date.
And I know the facility has a lot of different distinctions. They're in the independent living section?
Independent living, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.